On beautiful July 23rd, 2025. First thing first, let me know y'all thoughts on today's new episode down below. What did y'all think? Did y'all like it? How do y'all feel about everything that took place? Well, nothing really took place, but hold on. But okay, so who we gonna start with first? Brooke, Ridge, and Nick. So, Brooke. I said, Brooke, please leave this man alone. Tell my son. She told him she offering him forgiveness is the thing that he didn't give her or whatever. And he was like, what you offer me, what you giving me is an ultimatum. And I was like, I'm so sick of these two. So she was over here just trying to get him to choose her once again. And Nick walked in and he wanted to know what he walked in on. And he was saying, do I even have to ask? I said, no. So I don't know why you over here wasting your time. But I'm going to give y'all a quick summary. Brooke was pulling the Ridge on today's new episode. She was just standing there watching her men argue over her. Nick was over here playing right into Ridge's hand. I said, why would you mess with their business? I said, that make you look bad. I said, I'm starting to think that Ridge was right. Excuse me. I'm starting to think that Ridge was right, y'all. But yeah, he over here playing right into Ridge's hands. He was holding Ridge and Eric's sealed shipment. And Ridge found out and he told Eric. So he ends up confronting Nick. And I said, you know doggone well. Then he confronted him right in front of Brooke. So she ended up telling him, asking him if that's true or whatever. Then he said it was, and he ended up making the call to tell them to, release their shipment. And I said, she barely wants you as it is, man. I said, she barely wants you as it is. You over here just giving Ridge all type of ammo. But yeah, Ridge ends up confronting him, and he was like, all you do is come to town to use people, but I'm not going to allow you to use Logan. And Nick was like, shut up. Nick said, shut up, and stop calling her that. You're marrying another woman, and it went off. But before it went off, they showed Brooke standing up there smiling. Y'all remember that episode I'm always talking about? The episode where Ridge said he needed time to decide who he wanted, so he went and stayed at his daddy's house. And Taylor brought him some lunch or something like that. And Brooke found out, she came over there, and they just standing up there arguing and stuff like that. And the Ridge just tilting his head and smiling, saying he still got it. He ain't actually said that, but that's what I said. He was saying how he still got it. Brooke standing up there smiling, doing the same thing. She just looking at stuff. I don't know if she's smiling because they arguing over her or whatever, or she just smiling because, Ridge said he not going to allow Nick to use Logan or whatever. He didn't say his Logan this time, y'all. If I'm not mistaken, he didn't say his Logan. But yeah, and I was like, dude. Then Taylor keeps saying how, she's not worried, she's not insecure, she don't think that Ridge is gonna go back to Brooke or whatever. But on today's episode, her and Stephanie talking about the same thing. Brooke. They talking about Brooke and how she not gonna give up, and Taylor was saying it'll be a miracle if Brooke didn't go on the trip too. And I said, you letting it be known. I mean, you were just talking to your daughter or whatever, but still, you letting it be known that you bothered. The fact that you jumped up and proposed to this man, letting them know that you bothered. And what else did she do? She keep doing stuff. They saying, allegedly, that she's the one that contacted Nick to have him come to town. Now, I know I seen a spoiler photo of them talking. I don't know if he gonna go over to Eric and them house or what. But yeah, I did see that photo. So I don't know the story behind it. But yeah, that's what they saying, y'all. Hold on. But okay, so let's backtrack. Like I said, Brooke, Ridge, and Nick. Brooke still trying to beg him to come back. Talking about, so she offered him the one thing that he didn't give her, forgiveness. And he was like, you trying to give me an ultimatum. And she just kept on saying, come back to me and all this other stuff. So Nick came in and asked, is he interrupting, or do he even need to answer? Some type of way he put it. And I was like, dude, neither one of y'all give up. Brooke don't give up, and you ain't giving up either, even though you know what it is. I know you heard that. As soon as you walked in, because she said it right at the moment that he walking in. So, Ridge got mad when he came in there talking about what he doing there or whatever. I said, same with Taylor, because they all don't none of them really work. Don't none of them really work. They don't. But yeah, and he was like telling him to leave and asking what he was doing there and stuff like that. And Brooke says she needed to talk to him or something like that. So he ends up leaving. And wait. What happened? Did he end up leaving first or what? Because I think Brooke's on it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Brooke started looking at something. Because he pulled out the phone, and it be tripping me out. Because how every time these folks get on the phone, right in these folks' face, that same thing happened with Grace and Bill. So you telling me you ain't hear them on the phone? He gets on the phone, he was like, yeah, hold that shipment for Forrester or whatever. And I said, now what he got going on? Before they revealed what he was doing, I was like, you messing up. But yeah, I'm like, dude, they be acting like they don't hear these folks on the phone. But what else? Let me see. like I said, Nick makes the call and said, hold that shipment for Forrester or whatever. And I said, So they was just talking, and he trying to convince Brooke to go to Italy with him and stuff like that. Just still trying. And she just smiling and stuff like that. And I knew she was using this moment to stick it to Ridge and make him jealous or whatever. But yeah, that's all the scene with them. If I'm not mistaken, let me read these notes. But I think, yeah, he was just trying to get her to come or whatever. But yeah, she gonna go because we already seen it behind the scenes. And if you didn't, it's already on Facebook. Nate tells him, no, that ain't it. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Let me see. What's next? Steffi and Taylor. Steffi and Taylor was talking about Liam, and Taylor was saying how it's hard to believe that Liam has been cleared, that everything just gone like that because, once again, like Finn said, this doesn't usually happen. But they say this week that Finn and Bridget supposed to be the ones to find out what's really going on, so we'll see. Because what's tomorrow, Thursday? I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, after they started talking about that, I think they said something about it's a miracle, and they started talking about Brooke going on the Italy trip, and Taylor was saying how it'll be a miracle if Brooke doesn't go. So Steffi was just trying to reassure her that nothing's going on between them, despite Brooke wanting something to go on between them. Nothing's gonna happen. Reese chose you, and all this other stuff. And I was like, this don't bother. I don't understand. Like, I know we in a new time, but there's so many things wrong with this whole situation. There's so many things wrong with this. But yeah, they also started talking about Eric. Taylor knows that Eric would prefer Reese to be with Brooke or whatever and all that. And I was like, right, I knew she went crazy. It's hard to deny. He talking about some what? Y'all told him you was engaged. He talking about some what? He talking about some what? But yeah, what else? I think they were just talking about Brooke wanting Ridge back. That's when Donna just popped up. She popped up and she was like, she know that Nick can try or whatever, but the only man for Brooke is going back and forth about whether or not Nick could be the right man for her and stuff like that. Donna left, but before she left, she said once again she think that Ridge and Brooke, they just belong together or whatever. Now, so sick of hearing that. Ain't no way. I don't think you're supposed to. Now, breaking up, like, when you younger and then when you get back together when you older, that's one thing. But they done broke up how many times? They done broke up how many times? Right after they said they wasn't going without nothing to nobody to interfere. Something go wrong. Next thing you know, he done ran over here to Taylor. And I thought for sure this time, I was like, Taylor ain't gonna fall for this bull crap this time. She ain't. She don't fail. She ain't just fall either. She ain't just fall either. She keeps on. She making it sure. Making it sure. She making sure he stay with her. But yeah, excuse me. What else? Like I said, Donna tells Steffi and Taylor Brooke into one man, and that's Ridge, and she was just talking about how they always end up at together. She know the Ridge feels the same way, and she leaves. I said, that's right, leave. That's right, leave. And I think they had asked her, they was like, you don't want to see your sister happy? And they was like, oh, she was like, of course I want to see my sister happy, but the only one that really make her happy is Ridge. Come on now. That lady, I said, one thing about it though, even if he continues to choose Taylor, she gonna always have a backup plan. Look, they be coming out the woodwork, ain't that what they say? I don't know where they be coming from, but yeah. What else? Who else we got? Carter and Eric. They was talking about, I think Italy. I think they was talking about Italy, and Daphne walked in. I said, oh, here go another one. I said, here go another one. So she walked in, she hugs Eric, and she was saying how she just happy that they back working together. And I think he was saying something about Carter. That's possible is because of her, largely because of her and everything. Eric ends up leaving, or they leave because they was on the outside of the office then. This fool ends up Carter ends up telling her he miss her. I said, what's wrong? What be going on? I be watching this dude on TikTok that be like, what's going on with your brain? What be going on with their brain? Because why would you tell this lady, first of all, regardless, that you miss her? Then, your future wife got her or whatever. She done told you she thinks she was falling in love with you. Why would you tell her you miss her? Then he tried to smooth talk it or smooth it out, talking about something, we are friends and all this other stuff. Save it. You clearly smitten with this lady. Look at how you looking at her. I was like, Hope, you need to get over here and get your man, girl. I know you can't, even if you there, I don't think it will make a difference, but and you can't stop him regardless. But they said he was over there with Liam. I said, instead of y'all two, you and Steffi, instead of being in y'all ex-husband face, y'all need to focus on y'all own marriage. I know y'all was worried for y'all daughter say allegedly, but at the same time, y'all doing too much now. It's time to walk away. It's time to walk away. I think, who was that? Somebody said that Hope was over there with whatever. But yeah, they over here, Carter talking to Daphne and stuff. He just smiling and looking at her, and she looking at him and everything. He talking about he miss her and all this other stuff. I think she said she was working on a new perfume line. And I think she said she also working on a package for Eric now to take to Italy or whatever. But yeah, I think that's all they was talking. Who else we got? Ridge and Eric. He's still over here trying to push these two together. So excuse me. Um they was talking about Italy and stuff like that, and they started talking about Nick. And Ridge was saying how he hosted Brooke heard him about Nick. So Eric was like, "Why does Nick bother you so much?" And he was just saying how he a bad guy and all this other stuff. And Eric was just over here trying to play matchmaker. There's a long story short, he trying to play matchmaker still, and he trying to say cause he's snooping around Brooke and all this other stuff. So he ends up making a call to Will. Will reveals who has the shipment. So Ridge tells Eric. Ridge tells Eric, and they start talking about that and how he used people and all this other stuff. And then what Eric said. What Eric said. Let me see. What did he say? How did he put it? He's like, you know what else he gonna do besides what he did today, shipment or whatever? He finna get Brooke. I said, dude, please. I said, please let it go. Still talking about these two being together. I say this whole situation weird, but it's a soap, so we can't talk about that. The elephant in the doggone room. We can't talk about the elephant in the room. Is Nick related to? I think they said Nick was Ridge's brother. Is that true? Let me know down below. But also, like, is he related to the Foresters in any way? I mean, technically he would if Ridge and him was brothers. Is they brothers for real? Or somebody was just saying that. Is Nick and Ridge brothers for real, or people just saying that? I don't know. I did hear somebody say that Eric isn't actually Ridge's daddy. I don't know how true that is, but that's what they've been saying. Let me see. I already said Ridge knows that Nick has their shipment. Nick's still trying to get Brooke to come to Italy. Eric says Ridge got to stop Nick from getting Brooke. Ridge ends up going into the room to confront Nick or whatever. He ends up making a call to unload the shipment after Brooke told him to. Ridge ends up telling Nick he's starting to pee him off. He said, "You starting to pee me off." Not pee, but So that's when they were going back and forth. He was like, all you do, Ridge tells Nick, all you do is use people. You come to town, you use people, then you leave. But I'm not going to let you do that to Logan. He's like, shut up. He said, shut up and stop calling her that. You about to marry another woman. And then it went off. But like I keep saying, she's standing up there smiling like she still got it. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Let me know y'all thoughts on this episode down below. Stay tuned for the next review. Until next time, deuces. Have a great rest of the day and be safe.